So if we really want to highlight just how bad social media has gotten in this province, you can't really find a better example than the press secretaries for the United Conservative Party government. They've earned themselves quite a reputation for saying terrible, terrible things on social media and being quite rude to people on social media. These are people who are representatives of the government, and these are people who are representatives of their respective ministers and ministries. And it seems like somewhere along the way, the idea that you need to have an adult conversation and you should present yourself professionally has gone right out the window. So in order to try to maybe provide a little bit of course correction for some of these press secretaries who appear to have gotten a little bit lost, we couldn't think of anyone better to help us with that than some Grannies. The Breakdown is proud to introduce the following segment and would like to thank the time and the energy of the Calgary chapter of the Raging Grannies for trying to bring a little bit of civility and, dare we say it, decorum back to Alberta politics.
A few weeks ago, pretty much all of Canada was concerned about what was happening with the Wet'suwet'en territories. The Wet'suwet'en, they had every good reason not to want to have something just plowed through their territory without their saying yes or no. Perfectly valid. We have reconciliation in this country. People protested in favor of supporting the Wet'suwet'en people. And I think we all remember in Charlottesville when a car went plowing through the protesters and a young woman was killed. Yes, she was a lefty, I bet, Matt Wolf, so you have good reason to be angry at her. And so what do you write after that car plowed through protesters in Regina? You wrote, investigating a car? Driving on a road? Yeah, what you worry that maybe somebody be killed while they're protesting if they're lefties.
And somebody thinks it's good to tweet this. Because nothing says dedication to the cause like an opioid overdose. Really?
So just wanting to respond to a couple of back and forth tweets from Katie Merrifield. The first one was in response to a person writing about how a significant amount of time goes towards propping up Matt Wolf tweets. Her response was, many thanks for the compelling observation, you sad, sexist, basement-dwelling mouth breather. Oh, Katie, oh dear, oh dear. I'm not really sure how we can even begin to unpack that really deep, horrible tweet.
Okay, Matt Wolf. I think he's my favorite tweeter. I am paying him, almost $200,000 a year for him to write brilliant, brilliant tweets. Here he is. Always wonder if some of those leftists who throw around hyperbolic language like alleging a police state are the same types who sympathized with the actual police state regimes behind the Iron Curtain during the Cold War. Really? Really? You honestly think that we're all for the Stalin's behavior during the Cold War? You really think that? I don't think you know us Albertans very well, Mr. Wolf.
Brittany Baltimore. I, for one, am really looking forward to watching the failed Lukaszuk, AB, and the failed at David Khan continue to duke it out over whatever appointments they are after. Who will be more insufferable with their hypocrisy and grandstanding? Stay tuned to find out. Yeah, no, not interested.
Who will get the warmer grading from the PM's office? Greta Thunberg or Jason Kenney? Where is the declaration of an economic emergency in Alberta, as opposed to the sanctimonious declaration of a climate emergency in Parliament? Well, Katie, I know for one thing that Greta is always a polite and conscientious young woman. And lately, it seems like we are not getting that same sort of polite and courteous attitude from Mr. Kenny or some of his other helpers, like you, Katie.
I can't even think of something to say to this because it's just that stupid. Delete your tweet, you asshat. Wash your mouth out with soap.
Okay, I think many of us saw those pictures of what happened in China after the virus hit and everybody had to stay home. They couldn't go to work and suddenly their pollution just cleared right up. Well, that's an interesting thing, but Matt Wolf has quite the take on that. Here we go. This is Matt Wolf's take on the pollution being lifted in China. Cue anti-capitalist green zealots heralding a massive virus outbreak with all the effects on real people as Gaia's revenge. Yeah, that's right, Matt. We're just thrilled out of our minds. What could be nicer than to know that many of us, including us little old ladies with major respiratory diseases, that, yeah, we're really looking forward to the coronavirus. Yep, that's right.
And then Samantha Peck. This is a good one. This goes back and forth between Samantha Peck and Marie Renaud. I actually had no idea that was you, but looking back, it makes sense. The looks were because you spent the entire time sitting on the floor of the chamber, a privilege, by the way, looking at your phone, rolling your eyes at your friend. The lack of manners was atrocious. Marie Renaud replies, "Baloney, I was sitting 2 seats away. Here's a photo. All of the guests around us were lovely. Just stop attacking people who disagree with you. Thanks."
Another tweet from a public relations person, Michael Solberg. Just take one look at the responses from these well-known NDP proxy accounts, all so brave in their anonymity. And tell me that Twitter isn't a raging dumpster fire full of just the worst kind of assholes.
Consider this my request for a thread on what it's like being so bitter you have to lash out at strangers on the internet on the daily.
Today, David Agan viciously attacked the first female finance minister in Canadian history. How progressive of that pathetic little man.